So now we're going to think a little bit about the hand as being part of the overall picture. All right. If we want an arm bent at the elbow, the hand kind of draping off to the side. The hand, again, finding the lines of that trapezoid of it. Is going to tell you how it, and whether or not we can see the side of it here or the side of it over here or just the flat. That's going to tell us a lot about how it connects to the arm. All right, if we look at our knuckles, all four of those guys along here, and see along the side here. Knowing what I know about them, I'm going to treat them at first as an angular shape sort of coming together. Just sort of checking for scale. All right. And once that's done, it's not brain surgery to break them apart. Again, paying attention to what these planes do. Right? But details of fingers and such are secondary to, attaching that hand to a body. That if we just get like a general little sense of how all this comes together, we can take those things that we know about the arm based on what the hand is doing and bring it back to the elbow. Now, one thing to notice is that the elbow side of the arm is always going to seem longer than the inside of the arm, right? Where we've got that double curve that we're sort of looking for because that's where the thumb is, right? So it's a different set of facets versus what goes on here. And when we come up into the crook of the elbow, right, this bone is way out here, and this corner is way in here. So that distance and this. You want to always know where the long side of your arm is and where these shorter expanses are. Because the same is going to happen as we go up the back of the arm into a shoulder. Now, the shapes that we're going to see as we come up the upper arm are formed by a couple muscle groups that are, if this person we're drawing worked out more, this would be a little more complex. But the truth is all of our arms still have the same sort of shapes and origins and landmarks. In this case, again, we're dealing with two bones that twist over each other. The radius always giving us a little bump out here. And the ulna always giving us a single curve on its side. Even though this is coming from here on the outside and your ulna is coming from a little bump inside your elbow that always comes to the surface. All right, but here's that bicep, that big old strong, incredible Hulk muscle man muscle. And up here, there's a sort of teardrop shaped group that form the deltoid, right? All of these work in groups, but as a whole, this is what we're going to see. Right? And the deltoid comes up until it meets with your clavicle up on the top. And believe it or not, your bicep actually tucks under it right in here. So that your chest muscle sort of joins up with your arm muscles. Your bicep goes way into your armpit underneath your chest muscles. Also coming from your armpit is your tricep, which on a particularly fit individual would almost look like a abstract horseshoe shape, kind of wrapping around. And then following a light source, if we know that these are the shapes we're looking for, we can see what they do. Right, we've got a kind of core tone right where the shadow and the light run into each other before reflected light has a chance to illuminate the plane that runs along the back. As we get down here, again, that core tone and that reflected light and the way the light source hits or does not hit these fingers is really going to give us a lot more dimension than our contour line alone, or even our volumetric sense of what's happening in here. All right, but we tend to have on the back of the arm, after the shoulder, this main part of the arm, the part once we've broken away from the chest and once we've broken away from the back, your triceps will have this gentle like question mark S curve, and while your bicep will likely bulge just a little bit coming out from the armpit and under the deltoid. And that forearm, we've got a little a double curve and a single curve, depending on where your thumb and pinky line up in the pose. And then once you've got that, you can go through, start figuring out what the specifics are, what little nuances happen in these areas, what the exact trajectory of your shapes and shadows and intersections are, because everything here is an intersection. That under the skin, there's shapes that twist and turn and braid within and without each other. I'm drawing from an older model right now, so he's got kind of veiny arms that are catching light. But we don't want the veins to be any more important than the light makes them. All right, these are just details that happen over this other structure. And while details are what stand out to us most in our lives, that differentiate people from each other psychologically, they're not the most important part of drawing them. that what binds us together, that the things that we all have in common, these proportions and curves and landmarks, these are the things you want to focus on early on in a drawing.